Hey PoE enjoyers, I've been spending some time in the Crimson Prison, experimenting with doing magic find all wrong for science. My loot filter's not strict enough, my character's too slow, I have no quantity on my gear, the works. I wanted to know, could I break even? How long would each map take? If you'd be interested in a series of videos where I incrementally add magic find to a character to see what effect it has, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump into it. My methodology was as follows. I am running Crimson Temple maps with at least 75% quality. They're chiseled, alped, and valed. Gilded Cartography, Gilded Ambush, Gilded Harbinger, and Gilded Divination Scarabs. Mysterious Harbinger Sextant, 2 additional Strongbox Sextant, Strongbox Monsters Are Enraged Sextant, and the Beyond Sextant. I'm running 7th Gate on my Atlas tree, so I can put Ambush on for 4 Chaos, and I'm running Eater of Worlds Altars. I have 10 favorite map slots, 2 City Square, 8 Crimson Temple, and here is my Atlas tree. So my Atlas tree is built around Beyond, Harbinger, Strongboxes, Quantity, Eater of Worlds. I'm running 7th Gate, as well as Singular Focus to help out with maps. I'm also taking the top hat for the increased effective modifiers on non-unique maps. At the beginning, I mentioned that I was deliberately doing a few things wrong. The first thing I was doing wrong is that I did not have a strict enough loot filter. I was using Neversync's uber strict filter, and that's not really strict enough if you're doing magic finding. For example, if we come in here and we have a look at currency and we look at large stacks, scroll down a bit, you can see it's still showing large stacks of things like Jeweler's Orbs. If I'm doing magic finding, normally I don't show anything that's worth less than 2 or 3 chaos. The reason for that is, with magic finding, you want to get in and out of your maps as quickly as possible. You don't want to be wasting your time picking up things that are not worth very much. You want as many rolls of the dice as you can possibly get to get those big ticket items. The next thing that was suboptimal about the way I was running these maps is that my character is not really fast enough. I do have shield charge, however the layout of Crimson Temple is a bit janky for shield charge, so you can get straight shots up the corridors, but there's sometimes little kinks and stuff that really mess with the way shield charge moves. I was opting to run Progenesis for survivability rather than running a movement speed flask, and that meant that I was significantly slower than I would have been if I'd had a different flask on. The survivability is great. I'm not sure whether the trade-off of survivability versus having to use a couple more portals is actually worth it, but it's what I rolled with just to see what would happen. This did mean that my maps were taking about 8 minutes to run, which is definitely too slow. Another thing that I was doing wrong is that I was relying on my Eater of Worlds altars for quantity. I don't have any quantity at all on my gear, and that is not really ideal if you're going to be doing magic find, especially if you're doing magic find with strong boxes. The reason for that is quantity on your maps does not apply to the strong boxes themselves. Only player quantity does. So only the quantity that I got from the altars was improving the drops from the strong boxes themselves. With the enraged strongbox monsters, a lot of the loot that you get is from the monsters themselves, so that doesn't matter too much there, but it does mean that I was missing out on significant quantity applying to the contents of the boxes. If I was serious about magic finding, I also would have had as many delirium orbs on the map as I could comfortably run. These add a lot of quantity and a lot of items to the map. Here are the stash tabs where I put all the loot that I got from the 48 maps. I only got 8 raw divines, 9 exalts, and 28 annuls. A lot of these came from the harbingers. 32 ancient orbs, 6 fracturing shards, which is not very good. I feel like I should have probably got a few more of those. A sacred orb, and a whole bunch of other bubblegum currency. In terms of loot from the maps themselves, I got a whole bunch of Crimson Temple and City Square maps, a nice chunk of scarabs, a few delirium orbs, and simulacrum splinters. Every time a delirium orb spawned on the map, I did it. A whole bunch of essences, as I have the essence nodes spec'd on my atlas. Some sack frags, I think those were mostly from the strong boxes. A few forbidden tomes, a few catalysts from random metamorphs that I had. There were no really notable drops. The only really good divination card I got was 1 Enlighten. No 7 years bad luck, no apothecary. So the profits from the map are just from currency, maps, scarabs, essences, etc. I used Exilence CE to calculate the profit, so it thinks that the profit was about 37.94 divines or 8,726 chaos. I threw all of the loot and all of the costs into a quick spreadsheet. I didn't go through and individually price all of the loot because I used Exilence for that. All in all, for the 48 maps, it cost 5,712 chaos or 24.83 divines. That was for the scarabs, the sextants, the maps, and to put ambush on the map device. The raw profit was about 37.8 divines or 8,713 chaos, which means there was a net profit of 3,000 chaos or about 13.05 divines. It took me about 8 minutes per map. I ran 48 maps, so it took about 384 minutes or 6.4 hours. That means I got about 2 divines per hour profit, which was kind of a waste of time. I deserved that for not doing it properly. I should have put at least Goldworm and Aventor's Gamble on my character for some quantity. I should have gone and gotten some Delirium Orbs and put those on the maps. I should have probably swapped out Flasks so I wasn't running Progenesis and I could move through the maps a bit faster. However, I wanted to see what would happen if I was lazy and if I could still break even, which I did, so I'm not too worried. So if you're going to magic find, don't be like me. Set it up properly, get some quantity on your character, run as many Delirium Orbs as you can, and make the most of it. If you're going to invest this heavily into your maps, you may as well go the whole way.